Hello there, welcome back to Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. This is episode 191, and this time out we are at Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia for race 29, the final race of the 1991 Stock Car Silly season. We're using Fast Action Racing from Downey Games. This is it, the final race, and let's take a look at the standings going into this one. Okay, so Davey Allison leads Dale Earnhardt by 28 points. If my calculations are correct, and that is not a guarantee, Earnhardt is the only driver mathematically who could catch Allison. And if Davey Allison, once again, based on my calculation, if Davey Allison finishes 25th or better, he has secured the championship. And the rest of the top 10 going into this final race: Alan Kulwicki 3, Ricky Rudd 4, Rusty Wallace 5, Ernie Irvan 6, Ken Schrader 7, Sterling Marlin 8, Michael Waltrip 9, and Bobby Hamilton rounds out the top 10. All right, as usual, we have some data to record, paperwork, and that's done off camera. So the first thing we'll do is set the field. I'll give the cards a shuffle and a cut, or a few shuffles and a cut. We'll get this final race underway. All right. Okay, so let's set the field. We have Jimmy Spencer, Ken Schrader, Darrell Waltrip, Derek Cope, Stanley Smith, Rick Wilson, Mark Martin. I did not mention Mark Martin was the winner of this race on November 17th in 1991, and it was known as the Hardee's 500. Bill Elliott was the pole sitter. Ricky Rudd, Chad Little, Alan Kulwicki, Michael Waltrip, Jimmy Means, Lake Speed, Davey Allison, Bobby Hamilton, Joe Rootman, Bobby Hillen Jr., Terry Labonte, Morgan Shepherd, Mickey Gibbs, Larry Pearson, Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace, Harry Gant, Dave Marcus, Kyle Petty, Dale Jarrett, Dale Earnhardt, Sterling Marlin, Hut Strickland, Jeff Bodine, Ernie Irvan, Ted Musgrave, Richard Petty, and Brett Bodine. All right, first thing, we'll determine the pole sitter. Gonna read the white die first, and we get a 25. And 25 is Mark Martin. All right, so Mark Martin is the pole sitter. To start this off, record that and we'll get going. All right, and he's going to face a challenge, and that challenge will come from 42, which is Chad Little. Okay, for this challenge, the pole sitter gets a +1, so that makes Martin a 12, Little's an 8. We're looking at the green race rating. So he's challenging at a -4, so he needs an 11 or 12. He rolls a 10, almost, but not quite, so that's a fail. And Mark Martin is the race leader. Okay, check for mechanical issues in phase 1. And we select the driver and 4 adjacent. That's 24. It's going to be Stanley Smith. It's 12 o'clock is Rusty Wallace. Dave Marcus is his 3. Bill Elliott is his 6. And Morgan Shepherd is his 9. One other thing I didn't mention here at Atlanta, there's a +1 to contact events and no change in mechanicals. So it's a slightly more forgiving track than the average track on the circuit as far as contact goes. All right, so for mechanical, there's no change. So we're going to be looking at the the red mechanical issue avoidance number. And you want to be less than that. If you're equal to it, you're going to go several laps down, get a red lap marker. If your number is higher than that, you will be forced to retire. Okay, so first is Stanley Smith. He is a 6. He needs a 5 or less. He rolls a 10, and Stanley Smith, it's been a rough rookie season for Stanley. He is out early, so that's a fail. And DNF. Rusty Wallace is also a 6. Needs a 5 or less. He rolls a 6, and he does have some mechanical issues. He comes in, he's in for a while, but is able to get back out, and he gets a red lap marker. So that's a fail and a red lap marker. Dave Marcus. Marcus is a 2. The best he can do is roll snake eyes and stay in the race. He does not. And he is also forced to retire. Dave Marcus, fail. DNF. Bill Elliott is a 9. He needs an 8 or less. He rolls that 8 and he passes. It's a pass. And Morgan Shepherd is a 6. Over here, he needs a 5 or less. He rolls a 12 and not a good end to the season for Morgan Shepherd. He is forced to retire as well. Fail. DNF. So 3 drivers forced to retire. Mark Martin remains the race leader. And he will face another challenge. And that challenge is coming from 25. Well, it's Rusty Wallace. Can't be him. Roll again. 46. Michael Waltrip. Alrighty. Waltrip is an 11. Martin's an 11. Challenge is at 0. 7 to 12. Michael Waltrip takes the lead. Rolls a 6. Fails. Mark Martin remains the race leader. Alright, now we're going to have a period of green flag racing. For phase 2, random driver, 4 adjacent. They're going to go up against the leader, and we're going to use the quality pass matrix. All right, and that driver is 41, Dale Jarrett. Chad Little is at 12. Jimmy Means is at 3. We wrap around to the top, and Michael Waltrip again. This time he's at 6. And 9 o'clock will jump over Mark Martin to Larry Pearson. Okay, we're looking at the green race rating using the quality pass matrix. So Mark Martin's an 11, Dale Jarrett's a 10, challenging at a -1, needs an 8 to 12. He rolls a 10, and you have a new leader in Dale Jarrett. All right, Chad Little, he's an 8. Jarrett's a 10, challenging at a -2, needs a 9 to 12. Rolls a 7 and fails. Dale Jarrett remains the leader. Next is Jimmy Means. He's a 2. Jared's a 10. That's a -8. That is an automatic failure because Means was trying to stay on the lead lap, and he fails to do that, and he goes a lap down. So fail and the green lap marker. Next is Michael Waltrip. He's an 11. Jared's a 10. He's challenging at a +1, needs a 6 to 12. Rolls a 7, and Michael Waltrip takes the lead. Pass. And it's Michael Waltrip. And the final check will be against Larry Pearson. He's a 2. Michael Waltrip's an 11. That's a -9. And just like Jimmy Means, Larry Pearson was trying to stay on the lead lap and failed to do that. He goes a lap down and gets a green lap marker. And Michael Waltrip is the race leader as we head into phase 3, which are some pit stops and penalty checks. We're going to do a green flag pit stop. Random driver 4, Jason, going against the leader. We use quality pass matrix, but this time we're going to be looking at the blue pit crew rating. So this challenge is coming from 22, Derek Cope. It's 12 o'clock is Bill Elliott. Is 6 o'clock is Larry Pearson. With the green lap marker, he can try to get back on the lead lap. Larry Pearson, or excuse me, should have been Harry Gant first at 3 o'clock, and then Pearson at 6. And Cope's 9 o'clock is Terry Labonte. All right, blue pit crew rating and the quality pass matrix going up against leader Michael Waltrip. All right, so first is Derek Cope. He's a 6. Michael Waltrip's an 8. Challenges at a -2. He needs a 9 to 12. He rolls a 7 and fails. Michael Waltrip is still in the lead. Bill Elliott. Elliott's an 8. Waltrip's an 8. Challenge at 0. Elliott needs a 7 to 12. Rolls a 9. And Bill Elliott takes the lead during these green flag pit stops. So now it's Elliott. And it'd be Harry Gant. Gant's a 9, Elliott's an 8. Challenges at a +1. Gant needs a 6 to 12. Rolls a 6, and Harry Gant takes the lead during these pit stops. Pass. Harry Gant. Next is Larry Pearson. He is a 4, and Gant is a 9. So he's challenging at a -5. That's an automatic failure, so he still remains a lap down. Fail. Harry Gant. And the last one is Terry Labonte. He's a 7. Gant's a 9. Challenge at a -2. Needs a 9 to 12. Rolls an 8. Excuse me. Fails. And Harry Gant remains the race leader. Now we're going to check to see if there are any penalties. Random driver 4, Jason. And we're going to look at the pit crew ratings again. That's a 32, and it's the leader, Harry Gant, that's going to be involved in these penalty checks. So it's Gant, Rick Mast. This is 12. Chad Little. This is 3. Mark Martin. This is 6. And Derek Cope. This is 9. All right, this is a little bit more forgiving than the other checks, because if you're equal to your rating number, you're safe. So first is Harry Gant. We're looking at the blue pit crew rating. He needs a 9 or less. Rolls a 5 and passes. Rick Mast is an 8. Needs an 8 or less. 6 and passes. Chad Little is a 7. Needs a 7 or less. 6, passes. Mark Martin is an 8. Needs an 8 or less. Rolls that 8. He also passes. And the last one is Derek Cope. He's a 6. He needs a 6 or less. He rolls a 9, and he fails. So what that means is he has had some sort of penalty and has to come in for a stop and go, and he's going to be a lap down with the green lap marker. So fail, and he gets a green, and Harry Gant remains the race leader. And now between phases 3 and 4, there's going to be 2 consecutive challenges. And the first challenge Harry Gant is going to face is from 65, Brett Bodine. All right, Bodine's a 9, Gant's an 11. Challenge at a -2. Brett Bodine needs a 9 to 12. Rolls an 8, fails. Harry Gant remains the race leader and will face another challenge. And this one is coming from 42, Chad Little. Little's an 8, Gant's an 11, challenge at a -3. Little needs a 10 to 12. Rolls an 8 and fails. So Harry Gant fights off 2 challenges and remains the race leader. Now we're going to check in phase 4 for contact. All right, it's a random driver for Jason. You can include the leader. And we roll a 25. And not sure if it includes a lapped driver. Yes, it can. Okay, so that's going to be Rusty Wallace. That's Wallace, who's already had some issues and is many laps down. His 12 o'clock is Rick Wilson. Ricky Rudd is his 3. Bill Elliott is his 6. Darrell Waltrip is his 9. So if Rusty Wallace fails this check, he will have to retire. All right, so we're looking at the yellow contact number. It does get a +1 here. So Rusty Wallace is a 6. That makes him a 7. And he needs a 6 or less. Rolls a 5 and passes, so he gets to stay out and, accumulate some points. So Rusty Wallace passes. Next is Rick Wilson. Wilson's a 7. That makes him an 8. He needs a 7 or less. He rolls a 10. And Rick Wilson does not finish. Fail. DNF. Next is Ricky Rudd. He's a 10. That makes him an 11. He needs a 10 or less. Rolls a 7. He's safe. Bill Elliott's next. He's also an 11. Or he's an 11, I should say. That makes him a 12. So he needs anything but boxcars. He rolls a 7. He is good as well and passes that check. And the last one is Darrell Waltrip. He is an 8. Makes him a 9. He needs an 8 or less. Rolls a 6, and he also passes. And Harry Gant, after all that, remains the race leader. But because we did have some contact, there's going to be another series of pit stops, but it's a little bit different this time. It's the race leader, Jason Cars, and one random. Okay, so these Jason Cars and the random will be going up against Harry Gant's pit rating. and we use the quality pass matrix. So it's Rick Mast at 12, Chad Little at 3, Mark Martin at 6, Terry Labonte at 9, as we skip over Derek Cope. Or excuse me, no, we're not going to skip over Derek. I've been doing this all season on the pit stops. If it's only a green lap marker, if he would happen to win that challenge, he'd get his, Harry Gant would still have the lead, but Cope would get his green lap, or excuse me, get his lap back. And then we also have to select a random driver, and that's going to be 24, and there's no one there. We'll try another one, 46, and that's Michael Waltrip. Okay, we're looking at the pit crew ratings. Okay, Harry Gant is a 9, and Rick Mast is an 8, challenging at a -1. He needs an 8 to 12, rolls a 4 and fails. Harry Gant remains a leader. Chad Little. Little's a 7, Gant's a 9, challenged at a -2, needs a 9 to 12. Rolls a 9. Have a new leader in Chad Little. Pass. All right, now it's Mark Martin. Martin's an 8, Little's a 7. Martin's challenging at a +1. He needs a 6 to 12. He rolls a 9, and Mark Martin takes the lead again. That's a pass. Now it's Derek Cope, trying to get his lap back. He's a 6, Martin's an 8, challenging at a -2. Needs a 9 to 12. Rolls a 7, and he does not get his lap back, so that's a fail. And the last one is Michael Waltrip. He's an 8, Martin's an 8, challenge at a 0. Waltrip needs a 7 to 12. Rolls an 8, and Michael Waltrip takes the lead. That's a pass. And Michael Waltrip. Okay, and he's going to face a challenge as we head into the closing laps phase. And that challenge is coming from 15, his brother Daryl. All right. All right. They're both 11s. And the challenge is at 0. Daryl needs a 7 to 12. Rolls snake eyes, and brother Michael holds him off. That's a fail, and Michael Waltrip remains the leader. Now, as we go into the closing laps phase, we're going to see if the leader faces any mechanical issues. And here at Atlanta, that'll happen on a roll of a 9 to 12. And we roll a 10, so that's a yes. Now, he cannot be forced to retire, but he could relinquish the lead. Okay, so his mechanical number is a 7. No change here, so he needs a 6 or less to survive this. He rolls a 10 and fails. So he's going to be forced to come in and get some work done. And now we have to determine a new leader. So we look at the adjacent drivers and use the rules of priority to determine who the race leader is. 12 o'clock is Dale Jarrett with a 10. 3 o'clock is Ernie Irvin with an 11. 6 o'clock is Sterling Marlin with an 11. And 9 o'clock is Kyle Petty with an 11. And based on the rules of priority, Ernie Irvin with his 11 at 3 o'clock becomes the new race leader. All right, so that's a fail for Michael Waltrip and a red lap marker. And Ernie Irvin is now the race leader and will face a challenge. And that challenge is coming from 16, Mickey Gibbs. All right, Gibbs is an 8, Ernie Irvin's an 11. Challenge is at a -3. Gibbs needs a 10 to 12. Rolls a 3 and fails. And Ernie Irvin remains the race leader. And we'll determine if there's going to be a late race contact check. That'll happen on a 7 to 12. Roll an 8, so that's also a yes. And it's going to be the race leader, adjacent cars, and one random driver. So it's Ernie Irvan. It's 12 o'clock, goes up to Hut Strickland. Bobby Hillin Jr. is his 3. Davey Allison is his 6. And Kyle Petty is his 9. And the random driver is 34. That's a blank area. 13, Ken Schrader. All right. So we are looking at the yellow contact number. You get a +1 here. At Atlanta, Irvan's a 6, makes him a 7. He needs a 6 or less. He rolls a 5 and he's safe. So Ernie Irvan, pass. Hut Strickland. Strickland is a 7, makes him an 8. He needs a 7 or less. He rolls a 4 and he passes. Bobby Hillin Jr. is an 11. That makes him a 12. He needs anything but a 12. He rolls a 7 and passes. Now Davey Allison, he's a 10. +1 makes him an 11. He needs a 10 or less. Rolls a 7. He also passes. And a sigh of relief from his team. Kyle Petty, he's a 6, makes him a 7. Needs a 6 or less. He rolls a 9, and he is forced to retire. Fail. DNF. It's been an up and down season for Kyle Petty. All right, Ken Schrader's the random driver. He's an 8. Makes him a 9. Needs an 8 or less. He rolls an 11, and he's forced to retire as well. So we've lost quite a few drivers in this one. Fail. DNF. Now we have another round of pit stops. And it is going to be the leader, adjacent, and one random that are going to go up against the leader using the pit crew rating. So Ernie Irvan's 12 would be Hut Strickland. His 3 is Bobby Hillin Jr. Davey Allison is his 6. And Mickey Gibbs is his 9. And the random driver is 63, the King, Richard Petty. All right, so we are looking at the blue pit crew rating. They're going up against Ernie Irvan. The first check will be Hut Strickland. And Strickland's an 8, Irvan's an 8, challenges at 0. Strickland needs a 7 to 12. He rolls a 9, and Hut Strickland is the race leader. Pass. Takes the lead. He's going to face Bobby Hillin Jr., who's a 7. Strickland's an 8, challenges at a -1. Hillin needs an 8 to 12. He rolls a 5, fails. Davey Allison is an 8. Strickland's an 8. Challenge at 0, needs a 7 to 12. He rolls a 5 and fails. Hut Strickland remains the leader. Mickey Gibbs is a 7. Hut Strickland is an 8. Challenge at a -1. Needs an 8 to 12. Rolls a 5 and fails. And the last one is Richard Petty, who's also an 8. Hut Strickland's an 8. Petty needs a 7 to 12. He rolls a 5, also fails. So after the pit stops under caution, Hut Strickland remains the race leader. And we'll now face a challenge. All right, and that challenge is coming from 34, which is vacant. 25, it's a lapped car, so that doesn't count. 12 is Terry Labonte. All right, Labonte is a 10. Strickland is an 11. So this challenge is at a -1. Terry Labonte needs an 8 to 12. He rolls that 8, and we have a new leader in Terry Labonte. Pass. Okay. Next would be a pit crew check, but the score sheet says event void if pit stops under caution have taken place, and they have. Now we're going to check for some late race green flag racing, and that'll happen on a roll of a 7 to 12. And it is occurring. So that's the cars adjacent to the leader and one random. So Terry Labonte's 12 is Darrell Waltrip. We're winding things down here in this final race. Okay. His 3 o'clock goes over to Harry Gant. His 6 o'clock is Jimmy Spencer. His 9 o'clock is rookie Bobby Hamilton. And the random driver is 53 Lake Speed. All right, so we are looking at the green race rating. First up is Darrell Waltrip with an 11. Terry Labonte has a 10. Challenge is at a +1. He needs a 6 to 12. He rolls a 10, and Darrell Waltrip takes the lead here late. So it's Waltrip. Pass. And this is during pit stops, or excuse me, this is green flag racing. All right, so it's Darrell Waltrip is the new leader, and it's Harry Gant. He's going to be facing the challenge from. They're both 11s. So Gant needs a 7 to 12. Rolls a 6 and fails. Michael Waltrip, or excuse me, Darrell Waltrip remains the race leader. Jimmy Spencer's an 8. So his challenge is at a -3. He needs a 10 to 12. Rolls a 6 and fails. And it's still Darrell Waltrip. Now Bobby Hamilton, he's a 10. Waltrip's an 11. Challenge is at a -1. 8 to 12. 6 and fails. And the last challenge is Lake Speed. He's a 6. Waltrip's an 11. That's a -5. That's an automatic failure. So Darrell Waltrip holds them all off. And remains the race leader. And now we'll face the final challenge of the race. Okay. That challenge is coming from 53 Lake Speed. So he's coming after Darrell Waltrip again. And Speed is not really coming after Waltrip because he is a 6. That's a -5. Automatic failure. Darrell Waltrip holds off that challenge and wins the Hardee's 500 here at Atlanta to end the season. All right, so now we determine the finishing. Of course, Darrell Waltrip wins the race. We're going to leave this marker here. And Lake Speed, who challenged twice here at the end, finishes second. All right, now we use the rules of priority for the other drivers that could have challenged here. Or excuse me, the adjacent drivers to the winner, Darrell Waltrip. So Mickey Gibbs is at 12 o'clock is an 8. Ricky Rudd at 3 o'clock is an 11. Terry Labonte at 6 is a 10. And Brett Bodine at 9 is a 9. So it's Ricky Rudd finishing third. Terry Labonte finishes fourth. Brett Bodine finishes fifth. And Mickey Gibbs finishes sixth. All right, so now we're going to continue around this groove, looking for race ratings at 11. So that's Ernie Irvan, Mark Martin. He's lapped. Okay, so now we're at 10s. And we start here. It's going to be Bobby Hillin Jr., Bobby Hamilton, Dale Jarrett. Now we go to 9s, Joe Rootman. That's it for the 9s. 8s, Richard Petty. Having difficulty picking these cards up. Ted Musgrave is also an 8. Jimmy Spencer is an 8. 7s, no. Everyone else is lapped. So now we move in and we look for 11s. So we got Sterling Marlin, points leader, Davey Allison. I'm pretty sure he's won this. Jeff Bodine's an 11. Hutch Strickland is an 11. Harry Gant's an 11. So is Bill Elliott. All right, 10s. No 10s. The only car that's not lapped on that groove is Chad Little. So now we move in, and next will be Alan Kowicki, Dale Earnhardt, and Rick Mast. Now we go back out to the winners groove and come around. We got 2 green lapped cars, and they're both 2s, so it's going to be Jimmy Means and Larry Pearson. And that's it for green lap drivers in the outer groove. We'll move in 1 groove, and that's Derek Cope. Now we go in, nobody there. We go back out to the original groove, and it'll be Michael Waltrip. And the last car on the track is Rusty Wallace. And then we take the drivers who didn't finish, put them in the bottom of the stack, and we'll get our top 10 for the Hardee's 500 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Winners Darrell Waltrip and Lake Speed, Ricky Rudd, Terry Labonte, Brett Bodine, Mickey Gibbs, Ernie Irvan, Mark Martin, Bobby Hillin Jr., and Bobby Hamilton. All right, so those are the top 10. So let's go back 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Davey Allison finished 17th. He needed to finish 25th or better by my calculations. So Davey Allison is going to win the 1991 Season Cup. And I will have to do totals to determine how everyone else finished, including runner-up Dale Earnhardt. I don't know if he'll still be the runner-up, depending, you know, some of these other drivers were kind of close to him. We'll have to figure that out. And Davey Allison holds them off and wins the 1991 Stock Car Cup using Fast Action Racing from Downey Games. If you hung out with me, before I leave though, I would like to say that I really enjoyed this game a lot, and I am going to do a wrap once I get all the totals, and I'll talk a little more about that in that video. But that's going to do it for this one. If you hung out with me, I do appreciate it, and I'll be back again in the near future with another video. And until then, take care.